Morning, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar on unlocking the benefits of employee referrals, where we're going to be discussing ways to enhance your employee referral strategy. I'm delighted today to be joined by our panel, Callum Purden, who's Head of Product Enablement at Eploy, and Chris Lake, Head of Recruitment at the Legal and Professional Services Group, Gateley plc. Chris has expertise in developing high-performance recruitment teams and driving strategic recruitment initiatives to support business growth. A recent initiative was implementing an improved employee referrals program, which he'll be sharing with us today. So before we get started, we'll be taking questions at the end. So if there's anything specific that you'd like to know, then please enter it via the Q&A button in Teams. We're also recording the webinar and we'll make it available after the event. So many of you will be aware, every year we survey around 700 UK in-house recruitment professionals for our annual UK Candidate Attraction Report. And as part of this, we ask for each of your candidate sourcing channels, how they perform for you in terms of the candidate quality and the candidate quantity that each delivers. And employee referrals, which are used by over 2/3 of talent acquisition teams, consistently report the highest average candidate quality. Unfortunately, the volume of candidates is low. So how can we improve that? And unlike many sourcing channels, referrals are reported to be suitable for all kinds of roles, not just entry level. But 83% of talent acquisition teams find them highly effective for finding skilled, technical and professional roles, and even a third for senior and executive roles. And the report also finds that referrals are effective irrespective of the size of your organisation, with little difference in candidate quality reported by SMEs, the mid-market and enterprise businesses. And when we look at the data based on industry sector, again, we see that referrals are consistently reported as one of the best sources of candidate quality, with consultancies, the not-for-profit sector, legal, media, and many others also getting good numbers of candidates through their referral programs. So in today's market, where competition for talent's fierce, candidate expectations are higher than ever, employee referrals can give you a strategic advantage. They're not just a shortcut. They're a signal of a healthy internal culture and a smarter way to recruit. Referred candidates are often better cultural fits. They're already informed about your organisation and are often faster to ramp up. Your current employees know what it takes to succeed, so their recommendations are often spot on. Referrals can help reduce your time to hire. Referral candidates typically move through the process more quickly. They're pre-warned, they're responsive, and referrals can also lower your cost of hire by reducing your dependency on agencies and on job boards and so on. They leverage your existing employee network as a built-in talent pool, saving money and recruitment marketing spend, which we know from the report is under pressure this year. Referrals tap into networks you wouldn't otherwise reach. These are often passive candidates, not necessarily actively job seeking, but they are open to the right opportunity either now or in the future. So employee referrals can help amplify your employee brand. Every referral is effectively a signal. This is a company worth recommending. When employees actively refer others, it's a strong endorsement of your culture and your experience. So how can we get more employee referrals? Well, one way to improve the effectiveness of your employee referrals program is through implementing referrals technology that can consistently engage with your employees and help drive more referrals. So at this point, I'm going to hand over to our Head of Product Enablement, Callum Purden, to give you a quick tour of Eploy's employee referrals tech. Cal, over to you, mate.
Lovely. Thank you, Bruce. Share my screen here. Hopefully everybody can see that okay. So yes, like Bruce mentioned, we are Going to focus on our employee portal this morning. We're going to start off with a bit of a tour of the employee experience before then taking a quick look at some of the configuration options available to you as an organization within the employee portal. So we're logged in to the portal here as our employee Harry Piper, and like a lot of areas of Eploy, the first thing we can see here is our dashboard. Now, it's important to note that these dashboards are fully configurable in the same way as you would configure your core system or hiring manager portal dashboards. And you can control exactly the information that you wish to display on here. In our example, we've started off with the important things from an employee perspective, and that is the bonuses they've been able to earn so far by engaging with your rewards program. So Harry, in this case, has already received £1,000 bonus for a successful referral, while also accruing over 1,000 points, with still 900 of those left to spend. Now, the points are a great way to encourage the engagement from your employees by rewarding them for microtransactions throughout the referral process. So whilst your bonuses may be for those actual successful hires, you may then choose to award points based on sharing vacancies to social media platforms, to emailing them out, to getting candidates to sign up and create applications, as well as then their progress through the recruitment process. You can now receive points based on applicants reaching application, review, or even interview stages before then progressing on to offers. What we can also see on our dashboard are any candidates that we have successfully referred so far, so I can keep track of that, as well as the vacancies that they've been referred for. What we have here is then an overview of the different bonuses that may be available across the vacancies that are available to me to refer to. This can help to promote engagement with the platform by showcasing exactly what is available to your employees. In our example, we have an IT consultant here where there's up to a £4,000 bonus associated to a successful hire. So that will motivate me as an employee to go and contact all of my friends in the IT space to see if they're a good fit. What you can also do with your dashboards is create leaderboards to promote that competitiveness, promote that gamification, to help drive that engagement from your employees. We can see here we have our most engaged employees. So Harry is at the top there. Everyone likes to see themselves at the top of a leaderboard. So that's reaffirming what I'm doing so far, encouraging me to continue to share vacancies, make referrals, and make sure I stay at the top of the list. Over here, we've then got a similar for the number of referrals made, where Harry is currently in third place, again, motivating them to go and make more referrals, before then seeing a breakdown between the teams that we work in, creating that team bonds, that team competitiveness against the rest of the organization. Like I said, though, these are just examples of the things that you can choose to include on your dashboard. Using our dashboard functionality, you can enhance this further. You can choose to include things like images or videos on the dashboards. You can add hyperlinks to further information about your rewards program, your referrals scheme, so that your employees are fully informed as soon as they come into the portal. As we move then into vacancies, this is where your employees will then see all of the roles that are available to them to make referrals on. Okay, so what this does is it allows me to see all of those that, one, have a bonus scheme associated to them, and then have been made available to me based on my role or where I sit within the organization. All of these will be externally advertised roles where, as an employee, I can access any key information about the role itself. I can review any bonus details that may be associated to that vacancy. So in this case, we have a £2,000 bonus associated, which is then payable in 2 installments. One after 180 days following on from a successful hire. So that would typically be the end of a probationary period. And then again, another payment once they've completed a whole year with the organization. The idea for the employee would be to come in here, use the search tools available to help find the roles that they're looking for, that they're keen to refer. And then once they've got their search results, they can track really easily whether they've already shared the vacancy, if they've made any referrals yet. So in this case, I've already made one referral for the store manager role. I've shared it 8 times. I may then want to try and share it further. If I click into the vacancy, this is where then I can see the rest of the information that's associated. So I've got here the advert from the candidate portal, all the details that an external candidate would come and see on the role. So that could be the job description, any embedded videos or content, as well as then any other information you've chosen to include. Before then, again, I've got my summary, my bonus details, and any associated statistics for this role. Once I'm then ready to make a referral, I have a couple of options available to me. The first being to find matches within my social media networks, and in this case on LinkedIn. What this will allow me to do is to reach out to anybody within my LinkedIn network who perhaps has the same skills or role or experience that this particular job is looking for, allowing me as an employee to be really proactive with my referrals, trying to reach my entire network, and of course, get points and bonuses along the way. Within our share options here, we then have other platforms that you can share vacancies to directly, whether that's your social media accounts like Facebook. You can share it via WhatsApp, email, or QR codes as well, to try and make the process as easy as possible for both the referrer and the recipient candidate. Now, once the candidate gets the referral link, regardless of how that is then shared with them, the referee's details will be tracked as part of that link. So this means as the candidate, I can click the link, come straight to the role itself, review the details that have been sent to me. And I can, when I then apply for this role, I don't need to type in, yes, I've been referred by Harry, or this is where I heard about the role, because it'll all be automatically tracked, making the application process as easy as possible. Now, it's with these sharing options that as I complete these, as I choose to advertise this role on my socials, as I choose to email it out, that I would then begin to accrue points. Okay, so like we mentioned before, I can receive points based on just doing that in the first instance, and then gradually earn more points as additional candidates create application records, put themselves forward for roles, and then go through the application process. The other great thing about our vacancies page here is that whilst your employees are here, they're looking for roles, they're thinking about vacancies and which of their friends and family may be a good fit for, it may also prompt them to start thinking about their own circumstances and whether they are looking for a new role within your organization. And this is where you can really start to promote that internal mobility. What's great about this is that by clicking on apply for a new role here, what this does, it takes me directly to the candidate portal. Because Harry's already a candidate, we've been able to log them in automatically and then present them with those internal only vacancies. So these are the roles that aren't advertised on your website. They're not available externally. They're available to your employees only. Now that I'm here, I can behave like a normal candidate. I can clear my filters. I can search. I can refine. I can review any roles. Still, though, we have that internal flag against those internal roles because I'm now accessing both the externally advertised and those that are internal only. The other great thing about this is that it also then acts as a validation tool for your current employees. By locking your internal jobs away behind being an active employee, you can drive your traffic via the employee portal into the candidate portal, safe in the knowledge that only those that are currently employed with yourselves, currently an active employee, can then apply for these internal jobs. So it just gives you that extra bit of security, that extra bit of compliance around, preventing externals from accessing these roles, and as well as then helping to manage any leaver processes as well, because as you deactivate employees, they'll then no longer have access to your internal jobs. If we come back into the employee portal here, then I've done my social sharing. I've sent out some referral links. As then they start to get actions, I can track those referrals within here as well. So in our case, I've got 2 referrals here, one for Amit, who's applied for a role, and Claire has subsequently been hired. So this, as an employee, allows me to keep tabs on exactly where in the process we're up to and what kind of bonuses may be due for me. When it comes to bonuses, I can also then track whether those are pending or have been paid. So I can see here that I've already received that £1,000 for the referral on Claire's record. I think, again, this is a great way of kind of promoting this sort of activity to your employees, reminding them of the benefits of being engaged with your reward platform. Harry, every time he logs into this portal, can see now that, yes, this is the rewards that I've received for my engagement, encouraging me to keep going with that. Like I mentioned before, though, it's not just about bonuses. We can also get points, which then allows me to claim rewards within our store. If we take a look at the store here, the content of this you'll have full control over to create your own rewards, allocate point cost or prices in points, if you like, as well as then levels associated to those rewards. In our example, Harry has reached level 5 for getting over 1,000 points, which then unlocks additional rewards for him. From here, we can then begin to spend our points based on any of the rewards that are available to us. If any of the rewards aren't available to me yet, perhaps I'm not of the right level or I haven't got enough points, they're still displayed within the store to help further incentivize our employees. In this case, there's an iPad available for 2,500 points, so I've got some way to go, but I know that if I continue to make my referrals, share my links on social, encourage good quality candidates to apply for roles, I can reach the right level, I can reach the right number of points to claim some really fantastic rewards. So that's essentially the employee experience in here. You know, we've talked about how our dashboards allow you to track and stay across all of your referral activity, how I can share vacancies, how I can make and track those referrals throughout. If we just switch into the core system here, again, we can have similar dashboards here for your resourcing teams, your recruiters, or perhaps the people that are, you know, outside of that team, but are responsible for managing your rewards program. It's within here that, again, I can track the top referrers within the organization. I can calculate things like referral rates per vacancies. I can see if there are any bonuses pending, currently outstanding, due to be paid, or if there are any rewards that have then been requested. If we take a look at some of the referrals within here, when I'm reviewing applications, whether this be during a workflow or as part of a rewards program, I can see very quickly whether this candidate has come via a referral, shown with the little purple R symbol here. And if we go into the activity, I can also then track all of the details regarding this particular referral. So we can see that John has been referred for a web developer role. They're currently at a review stage and they were reviewed by Stephen. I've then got all of Stephen's details in case I need to reach out to my colleague to discuss the referral with them, as well as then any bonuses that are then associated to your referral program. So in this case, we actually have 2 payments to make, one to the candidate if they're successful, and then one to the contact, the referrer, Stephen in this case, of £3,000 at the right time. Of course, this candidate is still only an application to review, so there's nothing for us to do here, but this allows me to track the progress of that as we go through. Finally then, if we come in and take a look at some of the settings that are available to us, because as ever with Eploy, a lot of the control here is in your hands as admin users. You can take ownership of how your portal behaves, how it interacts with your employees. You can choose to disable any gamification, any progress bars within the portal. You can control exactly who can make referrals. In our case, we're restricting HR, we're restricting the main contact or any hiring managers associated for the role, as well as then which vacancies can be referred to. Within the points menu, here we can see the breakdown of exactly how our point allocation works. So in this example here, our employees can get 1 point for a social media share or an email referral. If the referral is accepted, they might get 5 points. If the candidate registers, they might get 10. Before then applying, they can get 25. If that application reaches a review or an interview or an offer stage, you can then further reward your employees for creating quality referrals into your pipelines. And of course, you can control exactly the value that we have, exactly the number of points that will be available to your employees. So there are lots of settings available within here. You can configure your points, your levels, your bonuses, and your rewards. I think I am running out of time, so please do check out our knowledge base for there's some written content on all of the ins and outs, all the different settings that are available to you in the employee portal. There's also some videos on there that covers what we've talked about today, as well as a little bit more detail. But thank you very much for joining us this morning. Bruce?
Thanks a lot, Carl. Thanks for that whistle-stop tour of Eploy's employee portal. Obviously, if you'd like to take a closer look, then please reach out to your Eploy account manager. They'd be happy to set that up. I'm now going to hand over to Chris Lake, who's head of recruitment at Gateley PLC. Chris, great to have you on the call this morning. We're really looking forward to find out about your experience and how you've deployed employee referrals into Gateley. I think you're on mute, Chris. Chris, you're on mute.
Sorry, that was an automatic mute. Sorry, Bruce. Thanks, Bruce. There's no slides or PowerPoint from me. I think what I wanted to do is give an open and honest view of where we've come from, where we're going to, and why we used the solution from Eploy as part of what we're trying to be within our recruitment team. So just as a quick snapshot, and conscious that there's a lot of different sectors, a lot of different businesses on this call. We are a professional services business, predominantly legal, but also we employ chartered surveyors, chartered engineers, occupational psychologists, business support functions, so HR, marketing, finance, IT, all the usual. So we're a 1,600 person business, turnover 180 million turnover a year, and for the last 20 years growing. So the one thing that I always have to consider is what is right now may not be right in 2 or 3 years' time as the business evolves. The business has grown through both organically and also acquisition. So we're a slightly weird mix of businesses that have been picked up and kind of fitted into the structure. So what I inherited about 3 years ago when I joined was a business that the recruitment strategy was very mixed, very bitty, not joined up. So the whole strategy of why employee referrals was important to us. I think first off, you've got to think about whether you've got one at the moment that you're looking to enhance, or you haven't got one at the moment that you're looking to implement. I think what you've got to think about is keeping it very simple. So the process that we went through was very much a review of what we've got. Is it right? Is it wrong? And what we had is multiple schemes across different parts of the business that we've acquired. So first off was looking at where we're coming from as a benchmark and how to move it forward. We also understand that we operate very much in a candidate short market, and I think most markets are now classed as candidate short because I think the world we live in, there's just not enough talent to attract against what we actually need in volume. So we heavily rely on agencies. I say heavily. We've just finished the year around 50-50 split direct sourcing versus agency, but we're spending way too much on agencies. So how do we structure our resourcing strategy to attract more people directly? and employee referrals is part of that. And look at the engagement with our current processes and scheme, and how do people interact with it. So where do we start? I suppose we started off with a very manual HR-led process that was very very bitty and not very joined up across the group. There was limited visibility across the group in terms of the scheme and how to interact with it and engage with it. And there was no tech, no automation, no reporting, very, very limited, so very basic. So what did we do? What did we want to do? We wanted to design a single group-wide scheme that aligned with our what we call our job family structure. So we have a job family structure where job family 1 is the most senior role, all the way through to job family 6, which is graduate and apprentice. So we wanted to design a scheme that aligned to our job family structure. And at this point, I must say that we actually excluded the graduate and apprentice roles from the employee referral scheme, because that is a candidate-rich market where we don't need to utilise employee referrals. So it was one exclusion from the scheme on purpose. We wanted a standardised policy, and who was eligible, who was not, and what's the reward structure around that. So depending on the job family level, what was the bonus payment following probation review. So the easy way we did that was look at the agency fee, and the referral fee if it was an employee referral, is pretty much a fifth of what the agency fee would be. So it's anything between a quarter to a fifth, which still is money to pay, but it's actually rewarding people for engaging with the scheme. And that is fairly standard across most of our competitors. So as part of this, we did a competitor analysis and making sure our scheme is competitive compared to our competitors. So that's where we landed. We wanted to also create a process that's scalable. So our current turnover is 180 million. Within 2 years, we want to be a 250 million turnover business. That's significant growth. Whatever we do now, we don't want to be redesigning in 2 years' time because it doesn't work because we're bigger. So it needs to be a process that we can adapt and mold. The principles will stay the same. They just align with the future structure of the business, and making sure that is set from the start. It makes everything a lot easier in the future. And also, what did we consider? We thought about how we want to deliver this to the business. So what's the comms plan? How much support do we need from marketing? Did we want to brand the product? Obviously, it's called a referral system internally when it plugs into Eploy. We very simply called it Refer, and we asked marketing to come up with a logo that looks like every other logo. So Eploy internally to our stakeholders is called Recruit, and then the employee portal is called Refer, and it's nice and simple. It's all got a nice branded logo that sits very nicely with our learning and development platform called, funny enough, Learn, and then our objective manager system for quarterly check-ins and appraisals, which is called Perform. And every logo looks very similar, so it feels like it's part of the infrastructure and the system internally. So that is where we wanted to get to. What did we consider? We considered whether directors and what we call partners of our business would be eligible. Historically, they didn't. They weren't allowed to utilise the scheme. HR weren't eligible for it. What we landed with was partners and directors should be eligible for the scheme, because they've been in the sector the longest. They know the most amount of people. Why should we penalise them for being a senior role, as long as they weren't recruiting for their piece of the business? So if they had any indirect or direct hiring influence, they're not eligible. But if a director in that part of the business that does something completely different to that part of the business, why shouldn't they be able to refer people across? So we included senior stakeholders, which landed really well. And if you're thinking about how to deliver a really good scheme across the business, which I'll come back to, you want senior stakeholders completely engaged in getting their teams to do the same and take advantage of it. So Getting people on side through inclusion is a perfect start. And HR actually are eligible. So the recruitment team aren't, because we can't be, because we're involved. But if a HR advisor knows somebody that is a marketing professional, why shouldn't they be involved as long as they're not involved in the process? So widen the net as broad as possible, and take the most amount from it as well. You want to be looking at broadening it without enough without too many exclusions, so you get engagement from all angles of the business. What else did we do? We looked at reward tiers, so we looked at job family levels and aligning a payment level per job family level, that we call it, which was completely transparent to the business. Everyone knew what they were looking at and what they would be paid if it was successful. We also looked at how we were going to promote it internally. So we looked at, we've got screens in every office space, breakout area, in the kitchen. We've got a little monitor where actually we can control that. It wasn't available on launch, but now we can control that centrally, and we can control actually what people see in what office. So we can do focuses on specific roles in our Leeds office or London office. So it gives us an ability, which is part of the plan moving forwards. So we wanted to create something that was really simple, really easy to engage with. I think you can make it too complicated to begin with. I think what you've got to think about is, where are you at? Where do you want to get to? And baby steps. And the hardest piece of this, the easy piece is the design and the launch. The hardest part is the engagement. And this is where the Eploy portal comes in, is that it's the only solution that I looked at and thought this works really easily, that's actually adaptable for whatever we need. So we scaled back. So we looked at the Eploy portal. I think we were one of the first to implement it, and there was a lot of learning through that process. Because we've got the single sign-on option through Eploy, we could take advantage of what we call user provisioning. So Eploy talks to our IT team, and basically all new starters get added to the system automatically. Any leaver gets taken off the system automatically. So from an admin perspective, it's a dream. It talks to each other regularly, so it just refreshes all the time. So when you're setting up an employee profile, we don't need to do anything. Everyone's got access, and they just click single sign on and it's done. So usability is fantastic. What it's allowed us to do is be creative on how we get people using the portal. So there's going to be a bit of hand holding through the early stages to make people feel comfortable with it. We've done some recorded videos on our intranet of how to use it, very quick 30-second snapshot, where to click. And the other piece we've really had to do is think about the dashboard. So I think looking at the options available, the gamification, all the points, all the points that you can use to spend on something, we're nowhere near that. And I think I'll be open and honest in that that's probably a year away from where we are. We wanted to have something that was really simple, get people used to it, and then this is phase 2 or 3. I think initially we are very much a use it for a referral link system, and then just get it to track. And the dashboard that we've built is very much a, where do you sit on a leaderboard, and who have you got in process, and where are they at? Nothing else. So I think if you see some of this functionality and think, blimey, we're nowhere near it, it doesn't have to be all at once, all at the same time, all at the start, because to be honest, I think it might blow some people's minds as to how much can be done, and it might put some employees off using it because it's too difficult or too overcomplicated. So I think my advice would be, keep it simple from the start, and build engagement, and do it piece by piece. The admin side, it's easily tracked from the recruitment team perspective. So we know when a referral has come through, it flags it on our dashboards, and it's nice and easy. It's just seamless. Where if you go back to a manual system that sits outside of Eploy, there's the spreadsheet, the checks, the cross-checking. Is it on Eploy? Is it on the HR system? Do HR know when to pay the referral fee? it's completely just it's just disjointed, where there's a solution here that actually it marries it up really well. What has worked well since we launched? Employee engagement and usage has increased significantly. We implemented it second half of the financial year. First half of the financial year, we had 4 referrals across the group, which is low. Since implementation for the second half of the year, we had 18 referrals. And when I say referrals, I mean successful referrals. We had over 60 or 70 referrals made, but successful referrals, we went from 4 to a significantly higher number, because people knew where to go, they know how to access it, they know how to use it. It's really simple and it's really light touch. We have had a bit of education around people that weren't comfortable with it, that we've had to just sit down and talk it through. But once you've done it once, it's easy. I think the biggest thing for us is, how do we educate the business to go from a system and a scheme that didn't really work and nobody knew how to utilize it, to this new scheme which works? How do we build it into our recruitment process? So it's all well and good having a referral scheme, but if you just don't give it space to work, it will never produce results, because we're trying to do too much before we've allowed it space to work its magic. So what we've settled on informally within the team, once a role has been approved, we'll push the message to see who do we know across the network. So we'll speak to the team, we'll say, who do you know in your networks? Let that work for a week or two, whilst we also do direct sourcing, looking at our talent pool, using things like LinkedIn to approach candidates directly, but letting this employer referral work kind of work its magic over a week or two, and then take stock. And then after that, if we still need to engage recruiters externally, then so be it. But building in some space in your process, you have to let it breathe. Otherwise, it just doesn't produce results, because ultimately the people that are being sent by the agencies are probably the people that you wanted to tap up directly and use the scheme for. So you need to give it space. What else has worked well? I think it's worked well at the more junior end of the market, naturally. I think for entry-level roles through to mid-level roles, it works really well. The challenge for the team moving forwards is engaging it at a higher level. So for our senior level roles, where obviously the fees are they're a lot higher, we're not seeing enough traction there with the employee referral scheme. So the plan is to talk to senior stakeholders, get them to fully understand the benefits of it and the opportunities of it, and actually start to just change their mindset slightly. So I think this goes back to maybe what I said at the start, is it can overcomplicate it, but also it's not a design it, deliver it and leave it. This is an ongoing, right, it's working, but how do we get more? How do we get more? What's not working? Tweak. And this is a 2 to 3 year plan it forms part of. That we are here now, this is the goal of how do we get there. And people within my team are changing their approach to get more out of it. But certainly, I think it's a massive step forward, the Eploy portal. It makes the delivery a lot easier. It lands really well in the business, and the potential is massive. I mean, we're scratching the surface on some of the stuff that we're doing. The opportunities it gives to improve the engagement, all of the gamification options we've not even got close to yet. The other option we're looking at is that the actual employee portal will also and can be an internal vacancies page as well, which is a new thing for us. We've never had that. So that's having everything joining up and being in the same place is a massive game changer for us. And I think for most businesses, it would be the same. And the final things, I suppose, the key learnings from me were keep it simple. Don't just digitize. Don't just think portal's going to solve it. Make sure the scheme is right first, because the portal is how do you deliver it. But if it's a bad scheme that doesn't really attract and engage and get people excited, it's not going to solve that problem. It forms part of your recruitment strategy. It's not a silver bullet. It's not going to solve everything. We look at anything between 10 to 15% of hires coming through employer referrals each year. So it's a fairly low number, but from where we're starting of a couple of years ago, where it's only 5%, it's a slow journey. Employer referrals, we know retention rates from referred candidates go through the roof. A recent study we did of candidates that came through the referral process had a retention rate for their first year of 100%. So where we've got an issue with people not passing their 6-month probation, actually referred candidates, there's no issue in that space. So I think referred candidates have got an emotional connection, a stronger connection to the business. So utilize it and make the most of it. And the biggest thing, make it simple, make it engaging, make it visible, push it, and don't expect people to just go, oh yeah, I know all about that. That's really easy. I'll do it myself. I think you do have to push people towards it and educate people. But that's a very quick snapshot of where we're at and our journey to date. Happy to take any questions.
Brilliant. Thanks so much, Chris. I think you make some really valid points there. Now, obviously, as a technology vendor, we like developing lots of functionality so that it's suitable for all kinds of employee referral programs that people may have. But I think you make a really good point there around starting simple. You don't need to implement all of the functionality within the employee portal on day one. So particularly where you're coming from a background with no technology for managing this, that idea of starting really nice and simple, get people to start engaging with the platform, start making some referrals is a really solid way of doing it. But know that, look, as we get that familiarity within our business around the program, okay, now how can we look to drive and improve and increase it? So to be able to then switch on some of the other stuff perhaps in the future could be of great benefit. I was really interested as well to hear, you know, the number of referrals you get, but I think you make a solid point on that retention rate. If you're just looking at that one number of, okay, how many people did we refer, in isolation isn't a fantastic statistic. You need to look at, okay, what was the quality of those hires? So, you know, that's some great news that on the retention rate that you see. And I think, again, another solid point about that emotional connection. So I'm interested on that, Chris. What kind of feedback have you had both sort of internally, and have you had feedback from referred candidates as well about how they found the process?
Yeah, I think internally it's landed well. I think before you'd probably get multiple touch points with people of, oh, I've got someone to refer, who do I send it to? So you've got emails bouncing everywhere, and actually having a one-stop shop of, if you know someone, go into there, share the vacancy with them. It's really easy. It's all in one place. And it's also the follow-up of, oh, I referred this person, I haven't heard back, I don't know what's happening with them. Actually go on the portal, it tells you what stage they're at. So it stops that extra calls, extra email traffic for simple things that they can actually, it's a self-service portal in effect, that they can just log in at any time. So that's landed really well. I think from a candidate perspective, it's easy. They get an email with a link to the vacancy, they go on and they apply. They don't need to say who's referred them, because it automatically tracks where it's come from. So from a candidate perspective, it's very simple. Hopefully it's not the just send someone an email and hope they apply. Hopefully they've had that conversation in the first place to say, oh, we're recruiting, would you be interested? I know you're in that space. Or having that connection that softens that a little bit is an important piece of it. It's not just a very black and white email send, hope they respond, and that's it. I think it's getting people to understand that they've got a big part to play in the process. It's not just a click and send. But the candidate side works really well. It's seamless. It's like applying for a role via a normal method, but it just automatically tracks that it's come from a referral internally, so we can see it. But no, all positive feedback, and I think that the common word is it's easy. And I think in our world where there's so many difficult processes, it makes everything just really, really easy to do. And it takes a lot of that pressure off email traffic chasers, trying to join dots up, inconsistencies in process where you're trying to find out who's done what and where's that up to. It's all in one place, which makes a big difference.
Another of the things you mentioned, Chris, was when you were sort of defining what the rewards and bonuses and such like were going to be, you did some competitor benchmarking, and I think you mentioned that you would pay roughly what 1/5 of what you would normally pay as an agency fee. How did you go about that competitor benchmarking?
So the benchmarking, I know other people in businesses that are competitors, and I've been in the same sector, fortunately and unfortunately, for about 15 years. So I just know people I can ask, or people may have knowledge of. So it's kind of exploring your network of what the normal is for something like this. But also actually trying to be bold and create something that's a bit different. So I think it's finding what works. I think you've also got to think any referral fee is subject to national insurance and tax, so it takes quite a bit off. But it's making something that's attractive, but is going to be cheaper than paying an agency. But don't just think about it being a cost. It's the getting a really good person that sometimes you wouldn't be talking to, that's going to add value to the business that is probably greater than the referral fee. And it's a token gesture to the employee for actually shouting about our brand externally, promoting our brand, which is worth its weight in gold. So it's a little bit of marketing cost, a bit of recruitment cost, and actually stats show retention rates are through the roof, so they're going to stay here. So for the sake of a few £100 or a couple of grand, actually the return on that is great. And we're getting a very good person join the business because of that.
Brilliant. Thanks a lot. Thanks so much for joining us today, Chris. It's been really informative. We'll be, as we mentioned earlier, we will be sharing the recording of today's webinar with the audience, unless there's any further questions. As I mentioned, if you do want to take a deeper look and have a discussion around how you might want to implement employee referrals within your organisation, then please do reach out to your Eploy account manager. At the start of the presentation, I mentioned the candidate attraction report, and if you haven't seen this year's edition of that, it is available on our website. I've just popped up a QR code and link to that. We also have a data sheet around the employee referrals module, and again, it's a QR code and link. We'll be sending all these around, so don't worry about going there straight away. But if you want any more information on the employee portal, then please reach out, download the resources and so on. But once again, Callum, Chris, thanks so much for joining us today. And thanks everyone for joining us for this employee referrals discussion. Look forward to seeing you on another Eploy webinar soon. Cheerio.